Guys, without a doubt, the Democrats are going to continue to blame every single thing and every single person, except for their terrible policies, terrible messaging, terrible ideology, wokeness. None of the things that people generally voted against when it came down to Kamala Harris versus Trump in this most recent election. They're not going to be interested in actually hearing the truth of the matter. No, 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 no. But either way, Jasmine Crockett reacts to CNN poll showing Democrats' favorability at an all-time low. This is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's go ahead and jump into this immediately, guys. Let's see where this takes us.
No plan, no strategy, no message. That's a quote. That's how a Democratic lawmaker was describing the Democratic Senate vote with Republicans this weekend to fund the government with a Republican funding bill, averting a government shutdown. But there was virtually no fight and nothing achieved for Democratic priorities. This comes as our brand new CNN poll this morning.
Oh, say 29%. That makes sense. I'm not even gonna lie, guys. That makes sense. Like, even the people who voted against Trump specifically are gonna see what Trump is doing. And if they had like the simplest sense of, okay, wait a second, hold on. He's actually getting things done regardless. My mother absolutely hates Trump, okay? Hates him. Kamala Harris voter. And I want you guys to notice right now, like the amount of times now over the last like couple of weeks at least, that she's been like, listen, he's doing something, right? He's doing a lot. I'm absolutely surprised. I actually respect what he is doing. Imagine. Okay. So I can only imagine that 29% is, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably too high, or that's just California or and Seattle and Oregon and things like that, guys.
The Democratic Party's favorability is at an all-time low in this CNN poll. It's just 29% approval. That's a 20-point drop since 2021. Joining us now is a Congresswoman from Texas, Jasmine Crockett.
Bro, those eyelashes are crazy. All right, let's continue.
Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you squeezing us in before you go to church. This has been a rough 72 hours for Democrats. I want to play some of what Democratic Senate Leader Schumer told me on The Lead on Friday about his decision to vote with the Republicans to fund the government. Take a listen.
It was the smartest thing he could do.
A government shutdown gives Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge almost complete power as to what to close down, because they can decide what is an essential service. If they determine that SNAP, kids shouldn't get food, is not essential, they can just cut it out summarily. They could fire half the workers in the federal government. It would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the path that House Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I
here we
understand
go.
that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. And as
We don't believe you. You can say please believe all you want, bro. But no, we don't believe you.
you saw, we had all but one Democrat in the House that voted for this, so that's 212 Democrats in the House. And then you had the vast majority of senators vote for it or vote against it as well. And so the idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous. And Jake, you and I both know that this administration could care less about whether or not they violate the law. We know that we've had to rely heavily upon the courts. And I want to say, as you're talking about the polling on my party, I want to say that it is the Democratic attorney generals and some governors that are standing up against this administration and bringing those lawsuits and winning every single time. They are losing in court. Could we do a better job of making sure that the American people know that we are winning in the courts? We probably could. But at the end of the day, it's still Democrats that are winning for the American people.
Okay.
Some progressive groups are calling
Sure thing, buddy.
for new leadership in the Senate for Democrats. Even House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, your leader, he was asked if he supports Schumer as leader of the Senate Democrats, and he said, next question. Do you think Senate Democrats should replace Chuck Schumer?
Oh, I mean, bro, listen, they are not happy with Chuck Schumer. They're not. So everything in me says that this is what we're about to encounter right now is going to be an emotional response because basically that's all they're good for are emotional responses.
I think Senate Democrats have to sit down and take a look and decide whether or not Chuck Schumer is the one to lead in this moment.
Okay.
You're close with Congresswoman
exactly
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too.
There are no moderates left.
To support her, to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
Hey, bro, listen, if you put AOC in place of Chuck Schumer, you guys are going to consistently lose everything.
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher
what is she talking about?
May be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
How to take...
Because she honestly, truthfully, like deeply believes that there are going to be no elections in 4 years. She believes that. And this is why it's kind of hard to speak to individuals like her with her ideology. I mean, bro, like you understand that Trump was in office before, right? Was there an election after him? I mean, yeah, right? Guys, what are you talking about? You're just talking now. These eyelashes.
On the Republicans is a big topic of discussion among Democrats. Last week, you were one of those who participated in a Choose Your Fighter video. It got some criticism online, including Democratic Senator John.
Oh, that's
Fetterman,
just ridiculous.
Called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the Senate.
That's absolute clownery. What do you plan on fighting? Any of these individuals? You'll lose immediately.
Hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues.
No, it didn't. It was terrible.
Fetterman has been criticizing your party for undignified antics and a sad cavalcade of cell phones during the president's address to Congress. What's your response to Senator Fetterman?
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But I don't show up in hoodies when I'm going on the floor. And so the idea that you would say that we could not have a moment in which an influencer asked us to do this. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you and tell you that when she asked me to jump, I said, did you ask my older colleagues to do this? Because I feel like you're picking on me because you think that my knees are a little younger. And I did not know who all was in this particular trend whatsoever. And I think that it is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment to laugh, that's okay, especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. But just know that we were not on the House floor jumping around at all, whereas Senator Fetterman is consistently walking around the Senate chamber, and he is walking around in such a way that they literally had to change the rules in the Senate so that he could walk around that way. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the one to actually have an opinion about this.
Okay, that's probably one of the only super valid things that I've heard her say here. All right, now listen, so we've definitely had a gigantic run, let's say, of decorum. I'm absolutely for the concept of decorum, all right? If I go to a courthouse or if I'm going to something government-oriented, I will always, in fact, be dressed appropriately. I'm not going to allow or even want or yearn for, let's say, rules to be changed exclusively for my existence. Guys, we have like rules of decorum and etiquette for a reason. You understand what I'm saying here? Like, I don't listen. I'm not going dressed like this anywhere, right? I'm just cold and I'm bald, right? So the two things, either way.
Let me ask you about the big news of this morning. President Trump seeking to use the Alien Enemies Act, a wartime authority, a law signed by John Adams in 1798, to deport undocumented Venezuelans that the administration say are dangerous individuals with ties to the gang Tren de Aragua. That gang is obviously associated with a lot of crime, human trafficking, drug dealing, theft, including in your state of Texas, right outside of your congressional district. Do you agree with this? And if not, what's your issue with the U.S. using any tool at its disposal to remove undocumented, violent people from this country?
Let's get her answer.
Well, my argument is that we already have tools that are available to remove undocumented violent people from
Okay, yeah, but you guys fight against it at every turn.
our country. And so the idea that you want to go into a zombie law, this is kind of like what we saw in Arizona when they decided to revive a zombie law around abortion. It is the fact that we can't trust this administration to actually use a scalpel, but instead they love to use a butcher knife on things. And so giving them this wide latitude to just kind of go across and just claim that anybody is anything is wrong. And so we do have courts, we do have processes, we do have laws, and we should just go ahead and use those. There's a reason that nobody else has decided to go back until into Adam's times in order to try to find ways to make sure that we can keep our country safe.
Okay. I think she speaks intelligently. I appreciate the fact that she is doing something to serve the country and not just sitting idle. Kind of like literally, regardless of whatever party she's in, I respect anyone that wants to fight for the people, right? So this is what I want to point out here, okay? When it comes to the Alien Enemies Act, guys, so this is definitely coming from the Alien Sedition Act. John Adams, I think this was done during the Quasi-French War, maybe? This goes really back. I'm not super partial to the utilization of this in the first place, but I do understand that things have to get done, and the Democrats are trying to block it at every single turn. So, in this context, I think I'm moderately fine as long as we can kind of not set a precedent for usage against people who you just don't like. You get what I mean here? So, in terms of like the Alien Sedition Act. Something like that, guys. Right? It's been a long time. Sorry I wasn't there, right? But anyway, you kind of have to be in like some type of wartime. And the problem with that is we're not at war with these places that you're trying to send people back for. And when it comes down to it, guys, this was done for like internment camps, the Japanese guys. This is a tricky thing here, right? I'm just gonna be honest. But if one side of America is going to consistently fight against the literal demands of the President of the United States, I don't know, guys. Weird. But all right. Listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll catch you guys later.